Welcome to the FSA virtual review session for 4th grade mathematics. During this session, we will review general information regarding the FSA, the grade for content that will be assessed, the types of items and response formats that may appear on the assessment, some test-taking tips, and some additional resources you can use to help you prepare for the test. Let's get started. Let's review some general testing information. The assessment window for FSA Mathematics is May 1st through May 14th. For specific dates, please ask your teacher. In 4th grade, there are 2 testing days. The assessment is made up of 2 sessions, and each session is 80 minutes. There are 56 to 66 total test questions and 28 to 33 questions per session. Calculators are not permitted at your grade level. You may need formulas and conversions to help you solve some of the problems. Therefore, a reference sheet will be provided. There are 6 types of items that may appear on the paper-based assessment for FSA Math: multiple choice, equation editor, also known as gridded response, editing task choice, selectable hot text, multi-select, and matching. So what will the FSA cover? You will solve problems involving place values such as reading, writing, comparing, and rounding whole numbers. You'll solve problems involving addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with multi-digit numbers. You will also investigate, find, and recognize factors and multiples, as well as determine whether numbers are prime or composite. You will analyze number and shape patterns, compare fractions with unlike numerators and denominators, explain fraction equivalence, add and subtract fractions with like denominators, multiply a fraction by a whole number, and understand decimals as fractions. You'll also solve problems involving measurement and conversion of measurements from a larger unit to a smaller unit. You'll understand concepts of angles and measure angles, and you'll classify shapes by properties and their lines and angles. In our content review, we will discuss 2 examples from each domain that you may be exposed to during testing. Let's take a look at some practice problems in the number and operations in base 10 domain. Here's an example of a multiple choice question. It requires 1 correct response. Let's take a look at the problem. How many times greater is the value of 5 in 2,573 than the value of 5 in 6,459? Let's place our numbers in a place value chart so we can take a closer look at the digits. In the number 2,573, the 5 has a value of 5 hundredths or 500. In the number 6,459, the 5 has a value of 5 tenths or 50. 500 is 10 times as much as 50, so the value of the 5 in 2,573 is 10 times greater than the value of the 5 in 6,459. Let's take a look at this problem. 2 numbers are multiplied using the area model shown. What is the value of the missing number in the area model? We know area models are an example of a visual model we can use for multiplication because it represents the product of its length and width. In our area model, we have a part that has a missing value or a missing partial product. Based on the side lengths of the part of the area model with the missing value, my length is 7 and my width is 90. So I can use the expression 7 times 90 to represent and solve for the partial product. I know that 7 times 9 is 63, so 7 times 90 is 630. This type of problem requires a gridded response, so I'm going to write my answer in the boxes at the top of the grid and fill in the corresponding bubbles. Remember to write your answer with the first digit in the left answer box or with the last digit in the right answer box. Write only 1 digit or symbol in each answer box. Do not leave a blank answer box in the middle of your answer. Let's take a look at some practice problems in the operations and algebraic thinking domain. This matching item presents the problem and response items in rows and columns. To respond to the question, one option must be selected from each row. Let's take a look at the problem. Determine whether each number is prime or composite. I know prime numbers have two factors, one in itself, and composite numbers have more than two factors. Let's take a look at 16. 16 has 5 factors, 1, 2, 4, 8, and 12. So 16 is a composite number. 13 has 2 factors, 1 in itself. So 13 is a prime number. 12 has 6 factors, so it's a composite number. 9 has 3 factors, 1, 3, and 9, so it's also a composite number. And 7 has 2 factors, 1 in itself, so 7 is a prime number. This example is an editing task choice item that requires a selection of a word or phrase to complete the response. Let's take a look at the problem. A pattern starts with one triangle and follows the rule: add one triangle to the top, add one triangle to the left, and add one triangle to the right. The first 3 figures of the pattern are shown. Complete the statement to describe the 4th figure for the pattern shown. For each blank, fill in the circle before the word or phrase that is correct. In the first figure, there is one triangle. In the second figure, there are 4 triangles. And in the third figure, there are 7 triangles. Each figure has 3 more triangles than the figure before it. Therefore, the 4th figure will have 10 triangles, which is an even number. The shape pattern can be related to a numerical pattern that follows a rule: add 3. 3 is an odd number, and when an odd number is added to another odd number, the sum will always be an even number. Let's take a look at some practice problems in the geometry domain. Let's take a look at this problem. In social studies class, Armando learned about the state of Nevada. He drew the picture shown to represent the shape of Nevada. Which list below correctly describes the kinds of angles that appear to be inside the shape above? In 4th grade, you learned that angles are formed by 2 rays with the same endpoint. Acute angles are angles that have a measure less than 90 degrees. Right angles are formed by 2 perpendicular lines that form a 90-degree angle. Obtuse angles are angles that measure greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. Let's use this information to help us analyze Armando's shape. This angle is a right angle because it measures exactly 90 degrees. And this angle is an obtuse angle because it measures greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. This angle is also a right angle because it measures exactly 90 degrees. And this angle is an acute angle because it measures less than 90 degrees. So Armando's shape has 1 acute angle, 1 obtuse angle, and 2 right angles. Let's take a look at this problem. What is the measure in degrees of angle P? One ray of angle P is aligned with 0 degrees on the protractor, and the other ray falls between 40 and 50 degrees. So the measure of angle P is 45 degrees. I know my answer is reasonable because angle P is an acute angle, and acute angles have a measure less than 90 degrees. Let's take a look at some practice problems in the measurement and data domain. Let's take a look at this problem. It says Jing participates in a trivia contest. He completes each question in a half minute. How long does it take for Jing to complete 10 questions? Well, according to my reference sheet, I know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So a half minute would be equal to 30 seconds. In the story, it said Jing completes each question in a half minute. So one question would take 30 seconds. If Jing needs to complete 10 questions would take 300 seconds. So Jing took 300 seconds to complete 10 questions. Let's take a look at this problem. A line plot with long jump data is given. Allison jumped 3/8 foot shorter than the farthest jump. How far in feet did Allison jump? As I analyzed the line plot, I noticed that the longest jump is located at 4 5/8 feet. 3/8 foot shorter would be at 4 2/8 feet. Before entering my response in the response grid, I must rename my mixed number as a fraction greater than 1 because mixed numbers cannot be entered into the equation editor tool. So 4 is equal to 32/8 and the sum of 32/8 and 2/8 is 34/8. Don't forget to fill in the response grid and fill in the corresponding bubbles. Notice that this time we also bubbled in a fraction bar. Let's take a look at some practice problems in the numbers and operations fractions domain. Here's an example of a multi-select question. This problem is different from multiple choice questions in that it requires that all correct answers be selected. Let's take a look at the problem. Select all the equations that show different ways to represent 5/8. In letter A, 2/8 plus 3/8 is equal to 5/8. In letter B, 5/8 plus 3/8 is not equal to 5/8. In letter C, 1/8 plus 5/8 is not equal to 5/8. In letter D, 1/8 plus 3/8 plus 1/8 is equal to 5/8. And in letter E, 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 is equal to 5/8. As you can see, there were 3 correct answer choices. In this problem, Daniela fills the container with soil by using a bowl. The bowl holds 3/4 cup of soil. Daniela uses 13 full bowls of soil to fill the container. How many cups of soil does the container hold? I can represent this problem with the equation 13 times 3/4 equals 39/4 because 13 groups or 13 bowls of 3/4 cup is equal to 39/4 cup. We must also remember to fill in the corresponding bubbles that matches the gridded response. Remember, whenever dealing with equation editor items, we must write our answer with the first digit in the left answer box or with the last digit in the right answer box. Write only one digit or symbol in each box and do not leave a blank answer box in the middle of an answer. Be sure to write a decimal point or fraction in the answer box if it is part of the answer. Let's take a look at some test-taking strategies. Be sure to get a good night's sleep before the test. Eat a well-balanced breakfast each day so you don't get hungry during the test. Utilize your school resources to get some extra practice like iReady, and take advantage of any tutoring or extra help sessions at your school. And don't forget to practice, practice, practice. During the test, flag any problems you are unsure about so that you can come back to them later. Don't overthink the problems. Go with your gut. Be sure to visit the FSA website to access the paper-based practice test for your grade level and other resources. And lastly, thank you for joining me today. Good luck on your assessment and don't forget to do your best.